project has been a labor of love for everyone involved. A love of this place, a love of history, and the love of making superb whiskey.
When the concept for Woodford Reserve was coming together, talk about integrity and authenticity. Of course, this brand was the inspiration of Owsley Brown II, and his father walked through these grounds. His uncle walked through these grounds. Owsley Brown Fraser talked about how he fished here as a young boy. This new brand was to have its own home place that would reflect its quality and give it heritage.
In some ways, it's stepping back in time, but in a very real way, it's stepping into the future.
Bill Street, Owsley, Paul, they saw the opportunity for a boutique bourbon. Small batch, very special. And in 1994 or so, we started looking at several old distilleries that were still somewhat standing in Kentucky. LeBroy & Graham had been owned by Brown-Forman right after Prohibition. I don't think they really sold it until 1971.
We bought it back in early 90s, and we redid it to create the brand we know as Woodford Reserve, and spent a fortune up there. We said we would lose money the first 14 years, and then we'd start making money. Steve Radoff stood up and he said, "Get out of this room. How can anybody bring such a dumb presentation to a group like this?" Owsley Brown, bless his heart, said, "Steve, you just don't understand this industry. They've only asked for $12 million. I recommend we fund them at 15."
It was a big investment. That's what I remember the most, thinking, were we crazy? What are we doing here?
And I think Pete Rutledge is the one that said, "We'll know immediately if we spent too much, but it will take us 20 years to know if we spent enough."
We couldn't put a price tag on it, but we knew that projects like this would go a long way towards popularizing bourbon, bourbon as a category. And I think we were absolutely dead on correct.
And I think the success that you see 20 years later is due to that vision.
From a design standpoint, the Woodford Reserve package was frankly revolutionary.
The package has done so much for the brand. It was interesting to watch it evolve. Round bottle, square bottle, and then this. I know my eye kept coming back to that flask shape. It came across as very humble and proud at the same time.
The early adopters of Woodford Reserve first and foremost drank it with their eyes, and then later with their palates.
What we created was an extraordinary boutique bourbon in a beautiful bottle at the oldest, slowest, smallest distillery in Kentucky.
We've been the cornerstone of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, which has become one of the leading tourism spots in Kentucky. So this is a great example of building something right.
I mean, here it sits amongst these beautiful lanes and horse farms and rolling hills.
You come down into this river valley here, come to these beautiful old buildings. I mean, it's the best of Kentucky.
We kept the historic structures that were there, and still every time I go out there, just smile and thank God that we didn't just bulldoze it all.
At that time, it was probably more naive than anything else, right? So, to look into the future of what it was now and to be part of that at the beginning, it's certainly pride.
I think the steady and patient and successful brand building that we did over these years has enabled it to have another great 20 years.
And there is still so much headway to go with this brand. We're going to have a lot of fun, and our grandchildren are going to have fun building this brand. We can see that, these things pay off. It might take a generation, but we're all about generations here. We're not just about the next cycle.
And really, it's an honor to take the work that's been done in the past 20 years and look forward to the future and continue to steward the brand to growth. And to me, Woodford's all about growth.
Because we are constantly innovating, and that's what Woodford was built for. It was built to be this, small distillery that we can experiment and try different things.
We've taken the best of the old with the innovation of today to create the finest bourbon in the world.
By honoring the ingenuity and skills of our predecessors, we will again make the world's finest bourbon whiskeys right here in Woodford County.